You know, I just did a video talking about the light spectrum that I saw in snow, and it made me think of eggs. About 8 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, was the first time that I've noticed a rainbow spectrum, light spectrum color in the whites of the eggs. That was the first time that I've noticed it, and it made me question eggs. Like, what are we eating? Where did the eggs come from? Are these bioengineered eggs? I don't know, chemically modified eggs? What's up with the eggs, pretty much. And so I pretty much reduced my consumption on eggs. I didn't completely stop eating them, but I did reduce the consumption of eggs. Like I said, eggs was one of the first things that I was taught to cook as a kid. Never once noticed any type of light spectrum in the whites of the eggs till maybe, like I said, 7 or 8 years ago. Now, present day, I bought a pack of organic eggs, and I boiled me 2 eggs, and the yolk was completely dark. Like, it was a dark orange color. Now, when I read up on it, it was saying depending on what you feed your chickens, it can change the color of the yolk of the egg. Never in my life have I ever seen the yolk of the egg that dark. Okay, normally when I boil an egg, it's yellow with maybe like a gray film tint, or maybe even pieces, color specks in the yolk of the egg, but never this orange color that I saw. And this was organic eggs. And so I bought a brand that was also organic, and it was higher in price, almost $10 for a 12 count. And the yolk of the eggs was yellow. And I don't know, it was something about these eggs, like they were fresh. They did not make me feel heavy. I like the way they taste. To me, they seem like they were natural eggs I grew up on. Okay, when I looked up the brand, there's a whole bunch of controversy going on about this particular brand, and people are saying not to buy this brand because of how they treat their chickens and what they're feeding their chickens and what they're doing to their eggs. Now, I also know that when you're in a competitive field, people will try to slander your brand, slander your name. So, going off of what I read has me thinking one way, but going off of what I actually taste and felt for myself has me feeling another. Okay? Have you ever cracked an egg and it actually smelled like a chicken? Like it smelled like the hair of an animal? I have. And I don't know if that's natural or not. And then, like I said, the color, the light spectrum that I seen in the whites of the eggs, the really dark yolk in some of the eggs. I'm to the point now where I may just stop eating eggs. Okay? Unless I get a chicken myself, or I know a farmer that treat his animals well and I trust, I will get eggs from him. Or like I said, if I get chickens myself, then I'll eat the eggs. But until then, I may just stop eating eggs. And I have done a little experiment with the eggs. Like, I've eaten 2 different types of organic eggs, and then I've tested how I felt after I ate the eggs. And I felt tired. I felt heavy. I I don't know, I felt like I had brain fog. And then when I ate the egg that has all this controversy behind its name, I felt completely opposite. I felt lighter. I felt energetic. I mean, the egg tasted light. It tasted fresh. I actually like the egg. And I think I'm going to continue eating that egg until I decide if I'm going to completely stop eating eggs or if I'm just going to eat this particular brand until I find a farmer or get my own chicken, but still reduce the consumption of eggs. I remember my dad, in his later years of life, told me he was allergic to eggs out of nowhere. He just told me he was allergic to eggs. And now I'm thinking about that. Like, did he know something? And he wasn't telling me? I mean, he was doing contract work for the government. And, no, I'm not going to say that. He was doing contract work for the government. I'm going to leave that right there. And he told me that he's allergic to eggs. So maybe I really need to take heed to that. Okay? But I just want to know, has anybody else noticed this about their eggs? Have you seen the light prism in the yolks? Not the yolks, but the whites of your eggs when you're cooking them. Have you seen that little rainbow looking prism film tint in the whites of your eggs? Have you cracked your eggs to cook them and it smelled like chickens? It smelled like an animal? Have you felt heavy, tired, and had a brain fog after eating certain eggs? And have you had your eggs, the yolk of your eggs, dark orange? Let me know. Is it natural? Unnatural? How did you feel? What are your thoughts? Talk to me.